Welcome to MINDSHOCK. This is your host, Bruce McGuire, and we are continuing our SHIVA Ayyadurai versus Flat Earth Dave logical analysis. This is part 4. And we've seen a lot of goofery so far. We've seen a lot of pure, unadulterated cowardice from Shiva, unlike anything we've ever seen in any so-called flat earth encounter before. This is truly, truly painful. We are missing the entertainment value that is found in most of the goofs that engage in these so-called debates. Shiva's just pure, it looks like pure anger and cowardice combined. This goof is lost in his own goofery. But we will see how much longer it takes us to get through this this is one of the shortest Flat Earth encounters, and it's taken the longest to get through because almost everything Shiva says is complete inaccurate nonsense. He doesn't even know the steps of the scientific method. As always, if you want to help support the podcast, help logic and reason return to a world where it is quickly going extinct, you can donate to our PayPal. Just check the link in the description. You can also become a YouTube member right here on YouTube. Help support the channel that way. Make sure you subscribe, like, and share. Twitter, Facebook, Reddit, Patreon. Questions, comments, theories, thoughts, suggestions, rebuttals, debunkings of any kind, leave them in the comment section. Unless you are with us live, then drop them in live chat. I'll try to get to each and every one of them. Welcome, Run Boston Bear, Lord Zed, South to West, Flat Bob, Matt, and Kelly. Hopefully everybody's seen the previous 4 parts. It is quite painful stuff here. I think, are we on the flat earth calculation here? Oops. For those that don't know, Shiva Ayyadurai was in a relationship with a nanny. Now, Nanny Fine might have MK Ultra fried his brain because he seemed to be smart, happy, and healthy in these previous times, and now he just looks goofy, angry, and cowardly. Valid. So we have the steps of the scientific method, which he doesn't appear to know. He keeps skipping over step 1 observation, which leads the way to the hypothesis. You don't just start with the hypothesis like he's been hallucinating this whole time. And then, of course, first principles. Basics. Taking it back to the basics, or blank sheet like he said. Except his isn't blank. He keeps putting stuff on it while pretending it's blank. I mean, this is just flat out goofery here. Here's the preschool chart. I mean, again, this stuff is not hard. This stuff is not hard. So let's pick up right where we left off last time. And we'll see if we can make it all the way through. I'm not sure we will, just based on what's been coming out of Shiva's mouth. It's been very, very difficult to get through this. We are all just gluttons for punishment here. I mean, why do we even do that? I mean, it is so painful. I'm almost missing Craig of Fight the Flat Earth and his Dunning-Kruger antics, because at least they're entertaining. I mean, this is just nothing but pure pain here. Welcome, Aaron. So yeah, let's pick up right where we left off. Fallacy. Oops, that's not it. That's the fallacy song.
drop if the Earth was curved, right?
Let me look. So you have, go back. Just go back. Okay, so hold on. You're saying the radius is 3,963 miles. You go 100 miles. And at that point, if the Earth was flat, right?
If
It
the
was
Earth was
flat.
curved, we'd have the difference of the radius
Yeah, but
from
before you go,
here to here.
No, but that's a flat Earth model.
No, that's the
Earth,
globe model. I'm calculating the drop on a globe.
no. If you were at that point and you were flat and you came out, you want to try to find out if you were going from the. I'm saying that is if the Earth is flat, right?
No, this is if the Earth was a globe. If I went out straight and on a straight line from the tangent of my feet and I didn't follow the curve, after 100 miles, I would be 1.265615 miles high, which is 6,600 feet. Right? That's how much curve there is. At 10 miles, there's 66 feet of curvature.
If you just flew a plane straight.
If I flew a plane straight and didn't follow the curve, right? It didn't follow the curve.
Right, yeah, so let's just say you just draw, you should be at, so 3964, is that 0.26 minus 3963? Yeah, you should be from that point. Again, you have to be careful where you're measuring that point.
I'm measuring from here straight down towards the center of the Earth.
Well, no. I'm saying that distance is from the surface to the point that you're at, the 1.2615 miles.
See here?
Yeah.
Right, because I went out straight. I didn't follow the curve, so now I'm up in the air. That's what I'm saying. If an airplane didn't curve, it would fly out into space.
Right, but what I'm saying is,
you know what's kind of strange too? His cope of, well, what I'm saying is, or you have to be careful, you have to be clear. Is everybody noticing this? Like his copes to try to police the language to divert away from his incomprehension and cowardice. I mean, he's done this multiple times now. And this cope, you don't see this in other conversations or presentations by Shiva. That's the thing. Again, I admit I was biased in part 1 and some of part 2 until he started gaslighting Dave by pretending Dave wasn't being very clear. I mean, Dave couldn't be any more clear about everything he has said. Even now, Shiva moved the goalpost to if you're flying a plane. Because notice, the conversation was about the mountain and how much of the mountain. I mean, let's go back here. So it was about the mountain. And then as soon as it, now I don't know if Shiva's being dishonest here. Is Shiva being dishonest to where as soon as he understood what Dave was getting at, he immediately moved the goalpost to airplane? Instead of, because the topic here was how much should you be seeing of a mountain? Is it supposed to be below the curvature? And he immediately moved the goalpost to flying. Did everybody see that? So, Chin Chin says, I hope your chakra has been restored to banish Shiva. No, but I mean, we're examining his psychological copes here. He completely moved the goalpost and diverted, I mean, this would also be a red herring logic fallacy, to, oh, well, if you're flying an airplane, this and that. The subject was how much of a mountain should be below the curvature. So then Dave starts talking about the curvature formula, and now Shiva thought he was talking about the flat Earth model, as if these why would you need calculations of curvature if the Earth is flat? I mean, this is just... I mean, it's kind of difficult to believe Shiva's being for real right now. I mean, he doesn't know the first step of the scientific method. He seems to have forgotten everything about first principles. And, I mean, and now he thought Dave was talking about the formula for the flat Earth model? Why would you need a formula to calculate curvature on a flat Earth, where there wouldn't be curvature beyond whatever natural features. So over water, there wouldn't be any. So, I mean, I don't know if he's faking. I mean, I really don't know what's going on here. This is kind of difficult to get through. But now it appears he kind of got the point of what Dave was getting at, and he immediately moved the goalpost to flying a plane instead of how much of the mountain should be below the curvature. So what is going on here? But at least we have to give him credit. At least he's not cowardly saying, oh, I don't care. I don't care about reality. Time out. Let's just go to the hypothesis. Because that's what he was doing for the first part of this encounter. Now it at least appears like he's engaging. He's not being a pure coward like he was for the first half of the interview. Aaron in the chat says, I think Shiva has realized that he can't mess with Dave and so is struggling to try and meet Dave's arguments. I mean, the fallacy spamming is incredible right here. I mean, absolutely incredible.
See here?
Yeah.
Right, because I went out straight. I didn't follow the curve, so now I'm up in the air. That's what I'm saying. If an airplane didn't curve, it would fly out into space.
Right, but what I'm saying is you have to be very careful on the measurements. When you write your research methodology out, you have to write this very precisely, because in science, an experiment can be reproduced by anyone. You publish this, someone else should be able to go reproduce it.
Everyone can. It's been done 1,000 times. We have thousands of measurements.
I don't care about any of that. I want to do this from scratch, okay? Because
that's what they were just doing. They were just doing the math from scratch. So he doesn't care about any experiments. He doesn't care about repeatable experiments and observations. He just said that's what it's about. Dave says, oh yeah, it's all been done. Now he doesn't care about what he just said. So he doesn't care about science at all. He doesn't care about reality. I mean, just the cope. I mean, this goof started spiraling hard. I mean, he keeps going with the cope, I don't care. He doesn't care about science. He doesn't care about reality. He doesn't care about having an intellectually honest conversation. I mean, what kind of goofery is this? I mean, wow. So he wants to go blank sheet while talking about the mantle and gravity. Now, if Dave had done it from blank sheet, and it's been reproduced many times, Shiva still doesn't care, even though that's what he's advocating? Can anybody make sense of this? Or is he so lost in his own goofery? He no longer knows what science even is. Is he really that lost in his own goofery?
I like going and proving stuff. Just go back. Okay. Go back. What I'm saying is, Dave, if you go back to the previous diagram.
I'm going. Go ahead.
Right. So if let's say you want to use a lake or flat plain somewhere, okay? So if I start a plane straight and I just go straight, okay? And I just fly that plane straight, right? I don't even take off. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, the earth should drop out from underneath you if it's curved.
Right. So if I just go straight, okay, and taking into account, if I just go straight, meaning straight into that 100 mile on a flat surface, and I go 100 miles straight, I should be, if the earth is round, according to that, after 100 miles going straight, I should be 1.265 miles from the surface. That's what we're saying here.
That's what we're saying, yes. Now, do you know how planes stay level? They have a gyroscope on a 3-axis gimbal that spins up and holds rigidity in space.
That 100 mile on a flat surface, and I go 100 miles straight, I should be, if the earth is round, according to that, after 100 miles going straight, I should be 1.265 miles from the surface. That's what we're saying here.
That's what we're saying, yes. Now, do you know how planes stay level? They have a gyroscope on a 3-axis gimbal that spins up and holds rigidity in space. So as the plane turns goes up and down, the gyroscope always stays level. It always stays level. It holds rigidity in space.
Actually, that doesn't really make any sense. Because even on a globe, okay, I guess, what is he trying to say here? If it flies, if the plane doesn't fly, if it just rolls 100, yeah. Well, was he talking about over the water? Because, I mean, obviously it would have to be flying. I mean, it's going to sink in the water. But he didn't, he's talking about being precise and clear, and he didn't say relative to the starting point explicitly. Maybe he said where it started. Where it started. Is that what he said? Maybe he said that. From the point of origin, from the starting point. If you kept track of that. Now, how long would it take? So he's at what speed? So how long would it take? Because that's kind of important. Because if it's rolling at 1 mile per hour, yeah, eventually, yes. But that's what, but, because obviously terrain is uneven, regardless of whether it's globe or flat. That's why Dave was bringing up the long-range photography over water. Because then you don't have to worry about the water, you know, water's not mountains. It's not bumping up and down. I mean, I don't know. Is Shiva genuinely struggling with this, or what's going on here? It's Flat Bob says, Bruce, I don't think he even knows what he's talking about. That would explain what's going on. That actually would explain what's going on here. That would explain it. He is, as he stated, lost in his own go free. Because if he doesn't even know what he's saying, and he just doesn't want to look bad, he's just terrified of me made to look foolish, and he's just talking for the sake of talking, then maybe this kind of makes sense. Yes. Then yes. Alright, well, let's continue here.
Based on their initial airport, if you flew halfway over the globe, the gyroscope would be vertical. It's not going to curve with you.
No, forget all of them. Let's just keep it simple, stupid principle. Okay, you get a flat surface of 100 miles, according to this hypothesis you're proposing. And if I were to just fly something straight,
yep.
Whoa. What hypothesis is Dave proposing? Dave is not proposing that the Earth is a particular size with a particular radius. That's not his hypothesis. So, I mean, is Shiva under the impression that Flat Earth Dave founded the globe model? And Flat Earth Dave was the one who announced the radius of the Earth, the radius, circumference, I mean, all of these things, the size of the globe. Is he under the impression that this is Dave's hypothesis? This doesn't make any sense.
If the Earth is round,
you'd end up in space. You'd be 80,000 feet in the air in 1 hour.
Well, I should be 1.2615, which is 5,000.
Oh, for just 100 miles. Sure. Sorry.
Yeah. So let's just get that number right, which is 1.2615, 1.2615 times 5280, which is the number of feet in a mile. So you should be at, that's interesting, 666.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Is there a breakthrough here from Shiva? This is the first genuine emotion he's shown this entire time. Look at this. This is the first. Okay, it appears he's done zero. It appears he's never even thought about this topic ever. I think I have to retract my statement. I'm not sure he's watched a single Flat Earth video. He appears genuinely bemused here. Is this breaking through to Shiva? Is Shiva gonna write that off as coincidence? I mean, this is genuine emotion. Maybe he still has a soul left. This is genuine emotion for the first time on Shiva's face. Lord Zed says, this guy believes in globe because the nanny left him and all he can think of is massive blue balls now. Flat Bob says, any argument that goes against his rhetoric gets turned into a blank sheet of paper, and thus I termed it the blank sheet of paper fallacy. I mean, this is kind of surprising. This is the first genuine, because he's been so cold and cowardly up until this point. This really looks like the first time ever he's appeared to make sense of globe earth math.
Well, that's another thing, dude.
Okay, anyway, well, in this model, you should be at 6,660 feet above the ground. Okay, that's what we're saying.
Can I just show you a little side note? 6 times 6 times 600 is the circumference of the Earth. It curves at 0.666 inches per mile, 66.6 thousand miles per hour around the sun. 6 times 6 times 60 is it's just, and there's hundreds more of these. Okay, it's kind of weird.
I don't care about all that.
And he jumps back in programmed mode. So he doesn't care about a level of coincidence that's like winning the lottery multiple times. So it looks like he went full cognitive dissonance mode here. He's too mentally weak to comprehend the implications of that. I mean, that's quite coincidental. That's quite coincidental that the number of the beast, the satanic father of lies. Satan, of course, is the father of lies. It just so happens to add up to the number of the beast. Not once, not twice, not thrice, but many times. And the goof doesn't care. I mean, what are the implications here? I mean, these are monumental implications for all of humanity, for this potential Illuminati hoodwink. And the goof doesn't care. Very revealing. Now, he appeared to kind of care when he did the calculation. Like, you saw genuine emotion on his face. Now there's none of it. None of it. That was just like a slight glimmer of whatever was left of this guy's soul post MK Ultra programming. That little crack in the programming that we saw. And now he's back to business where nothing will penetrate the brainwashing. Dave looks like he finds that funny that he doesn't care. Bob says, you know, for such a smart guy, he sure is dumb. I mean, I think it's more cowardice than actual stupidity, though. Because if he's too terrified to confront any of this information, that's not necessarily being dumb. That's just being cowardly.
Go ahead.
I care about actually doing an independent experiment. Go back.
Got it. Yeah.
So go back to
I'm going.
So just to be clear, if you apply that, and I file, now I have to be able to fly that plane in a flat thing. That's very important. Okay.
Yes.
All right. That's an interesting thing with gravity. Okay.
Gravity? I thought we were going blank sheet. I thought we were doing first principles. Now all of a sudden we're assuming gravity? We're assuming gravity all of a sudden on a blank sheet that has nothing on it except gravity? Where did gravity come from if he wants to go blank sheet first principle? Now, what Dave actually didn't have on that graph is that he just happened to be sitting under a tree in 1666 to watch the apple fall. The apple, was that the same apple that Eve took a bite out of due to her deception? But anyway, in the year 1666, Isaac Newton, this satanic occultist, just so happened to watch an apple fall, and then all of a sudden gravity's a thing? Big G? I mean, how did that make its way onto the blank sheet? What happened to first principles, Shiva Ayyadurai? Whatever happened to first principles? I guess Shiva's no longer wants to go first principle. He no longer wants to go blank sheet. I mean, this is just beyond cowardice. I mean, this is pure hypocrisy at this point. Hypocrisy, projection. I mean, just, I mean, this is tough. Anybody want to take any bets if we're going to make it through the interview this time? I mean, I don't know.
Can I show you an example of a pilot that did a
no, I don't want to go there yet. I just want.
He doesn't want to go there, even though he just brought it up, because he's the one that brought up the airplane. Dave did not bring up flying the airplane. Dave was talking about mountains over a body of water. Shiva brought up the airplane. Talks about, oh, it has to be so anybody can do it. Dave starts talking about people that actually did it, the observation, but he doesn't care about that, and he doesn't want to go there. So, like, everything he's advocating to do, if it's already been done, why would he not care? It doesn't make any sense. I mean, none of this really makes any sense. I don't know if I'm fully prepared to say that Shiva's just acting stupid here. He genuinely might not even comprehend what he's trying to say or what Dave is saying. Or, if we give him more credit, he realizes how Dave is exposing him, and he's too cowardly to engage honestly. He has to cope with these, I don't care, I don't want to go there. Time out, let's be clear. Those are his copes. He's established those copes. Now, if we're going first principle scientific method, I mean, he doesn't want to go to step 1 of the scientific method, observation. He doesn't want to go to step 1 of the scientific method, this alleged man of science. He doesn't want to go there, and he doesn't care about step 1 of the scientific method. I mean, this is unprecedented.
I just want to intellectually understand this in my own. I don't want to see any other data. I'm looking at it. Clean sheet of paper.
Okay.
You and I are putting together an experiment. The hypothesis is if I file 100 miles, are you all set? Okay. If you just file something very flat on a flat surface, and you're proposing after 100 miles of flight, and we should figure out how fast you should fly, right? We should write all this down. Okay.
Yep, we've done it.
Yeah. But it should be a very simple experiment that anyone can execute, and it can be reproduced. Reproducibility, reproducible predictions, Dave, is the definition of evidence in science.
We've done it. We have pilots that all
done it, but I'm saying, wait, stop. Because, I come from this institution on the street. If we were to lay out an experiment, I would say, let's go do this at this location, do this, this, and this, and this, like a formula.
Let's do
And
it.
any MIT nerd, any physicist should be able to do that experiment independent of you or I, and they should get the same result. So according to this, they should get a result of 6,660 feet.
Correct.
They should be above this flat area. Agreed?
Correct.
Okay, so let's just stop right there. Okay? Where is a place? We don't even need to go 6,660 feet. You can go much shorter than that, you know? Where is a place that you propose that this experiment should be done?
What, flying an airplane straight and level? They do it every day. Every single flight flies straight and level.
Okay, that was funny. Because I don't think Shiva realizes how dumb he sounds. Like, the level of goofery, he says, time out, I don't care about that. If this has already been done a million times and continues to be done every second, well, I mean, what is Shiva not comprehending here? Like, for example, if someone has some kind of theory, oh, you drop something in water, it's going to splash. And Shiva's like, no, I don't care about that. Like, let's lay it out precisely. And then when you're like, no. I mean, people have thrown all sorts of objects and they splashed. I mean, they've done it indoors, they've done it out. And she was like, no, I don't care about that. We have to make an experiment that anybody can replicate. But it's already been replicated. Every time you throw something in water, it splashes. And Shiva just keeps going, well, in science, we have this and that. As if but the thing is, what's kind of interesting, though, he's not necessarily denying the splash. It's kind of weird, because he's not saying whether it is or isn't. He's just not caring that it's been done a million times. I mean, this is a very unique goofery here. I haven't seen anything quite like this before. Flat Bob, it wasn't muted, it was just frozen. The stream froze. Nothing was lost anywhere. Okay. Lord Zed says, if this guy was on the nanny too, I'd never have missed an episode. He's hilarious. Can you imagine Shiva on the nanny? Is this going to be the competition for was it Mr. Sheffield? Was that his name? It's Mr. something with an S, I think. Was it Sheffield? I don't remember. Aaron says Shiva's stalling by forcing the setup as a formal experiment overseen by him. He has time to go back and do the research that he should have done already. Yeah, but it's dumber than that. Because if this is because he picked the airplane. If that's what airplanes are always doing every second, then that's what it is. Just like, you know, if you drop an object in water and it splashes, and it's being done constantly, and anybody can do it anytime, and he's saying, no. And he starts talking about, you know, all these diversion fallacies. It's just, it's so goofy. I mean, how does he not realize that makes him look so dumb?
You look at all the flight data.
No, not they. I'm saying you and I, and we get.
So we get a private jet. People. Every single flight flies straight and level. Airplanes fly over the Earth plane. They do not nose. Their nose up 2-3 degrees the whole time. So as you're flying over this ball, how are you going around the ball with the nose always up?
Well, that's kind of a minus for Dave, because that's a false premise. That's a false premise fallacy, because it's kind of like it's almost like kind of like a boat, or I mean, it depends on the design of the craft. Because the design could be whatever, or even like a car. A car can have an upward or downward curving hood. It's still going to move the way it's going to move regardless of the design. Now, I realize even if the design is 180 degrees and it's tilted, depending on what kind of propulsion technology it's using, it could go up or down at a tilt. Kind of like a drone. I mean, some drones kind of sort of do that. Like those, some of those performance drones that do the flips and stuff, the design could be like they could be tilted but still moving forward and down while tilted up, etc. So yeah, that's not really that might be this non-congruent argument. Is it false premise? It's mostly false premise. Could also be a hasty generalization logical fallacy by assuming that craft can't be tilted in a certain position while directionally moving in another direction. Aaron says Shiva likely knows that gyros maintain their orientation in space, so he's trying to reconcile that with the airplane's hypothetical motion over the globe. Maybe. I mean, are we giving him enough credit to think that that's what he's really thinking? I mean, I don't know. I really can't tell too much now. I mean, he's so lost in his gophery. Is he really just trying to save face and stall? Or is he just so lost in his own gophery he doesn't even know what he's saying, and the intention to not look stupid is fallen by the wayside?
Right, but David, I don't care about all that. I'm just talking about an experiment that can be reproducible,
Right.
that any idiot can do.
Right, I got it. This is one that any idiot can do. Let me just finish this, okay? Yep. So I rounded down because they always, refraction, things refract up.
Yeah, but where are you choosing the location? I want to write down this research.
This is just a frozen lake. We've done it over Lake Balaton.
Where?
This one, I don't know exactly where this one is. I forget, but we have a whole bunch of ones we did. We did a 26-mile laser test over Lake Balaton, and it showed no curvature. And the curvature of 26 miles is far more than this, right? But these are rounded down, giving the globe every benefit of the doubt. So what does this mean? So if the Earth is flat, it means the camera's here, and it could see all of these lights, and they all line up. If the Earth is a globe, at 6 inches, the horizon should be about a mile away. So then you have the tangent of the Earth. And all of these are refracting up the perfect amount to appear to be at this tangent.
That's actually a really great graphic here. Let's make it a little bigger. This graphic is excellent here. Just to understand the concept, the level of coincidence. So this would be the post hoc logical fallacy that a lot of scientism goofs cling to desperately to explain away why no matter what the distance or no matter what the alleged curvature should be, regardless, everything always comes up magically. Like the refraction has some kind of magical built-in intelligence to always refract at the exact height that it would be on a flat Earth. That's kind of interesting. It's kind of coincidental. I mean, the level of coincidence for that. No matter the distance, no matter the size, it always magically refracts to where it should be if the Earth is flat. And we'll see if Shiva is going to remain cowardly here or honestly engage with that point. That's an interesting point. Again, I'm not sure what that means. If it's a globe, it would be a much, 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 much larger globe for that to occur.
That's what you have to believe if you believe the Earth is curved, that they're refracting up and they're tricking you. They don't refract higher. They refract up to the exact level of the tangent of this viewer. That's what you have to believe. That's crazy. The reason you can't figure it out is not because you're stupid. It's because it's stupid, right? The globe is the dumbest thing ever. Once you understand what you've been believing your whole life and have never questioned.
Yeah, what I'm saying, Dave, is there needs to be an actual specific location.
I mean, now he's just behaving kind of like a 4-year-old that was told to go to bed and he doesn't want to go to bed. So he just completely ignored everything Dave just said. It's like he's too cowardly to even spend an honest moment thinking about what Dave just said. He doesn't find that interesting at all? Or is Shiva a flat earther here and he already believes it and he's just trying to get Dave to come up with an experiment? And to appear credible to the other scientism globers, he's just acting this way? I floated this theory in the previous episode, but... Dr. Law 0206 says, Shiva isn't listening at all during this interview. So sad. I think he might have listened, but he was too mentally weak and cowardly to think it through all the way. So he listened. He maybe... Yeah, it's kind of tough. I think this is all cope. I think his ego was definitely triggered. At the beginning, he was so terrified of being made to look dumb by a flat earther. Now it looks like it just might be good old-fashioned cognitive dissonance and mental weakness. So if he's too mentally weak to comprehend the implications of what Dave just said, then his cope is just to revert to what he was saying back. I don't care about this. Timeout. Blank sheet. What I'm saying, Dave, what I'm saying is we need an experiment. Forget the damn experiment. Do you care? Do you care about the concept? Again, the mark of an educated mind is to consider a concept or idea as true without believing it. So we're not talking about even believing it. We're just talking about honestly thinking about a concept and its implication. He's that cowardly and mentally weak he can't even do that? Aaron says, I think you're right about cope, Bruce. He's scrambling to come up with something, anything to stall. He's just reverting to what he's been saying, to what he thinks he knows. Like he's going with his comfort cope. This is his comfort cope, the scientific method, but his hubris has caught him because he doesn't even remember what the scientific method is. So he's going to his comfort cope, his blankie, but it's been so long since he's had to snuggle with the blankie, he forgot what the blankie even was, and his hubris won't allow him to even re-examine his own idea of the blankie. So, yeah. Welcome, Pinto Sack. Raised by Gypsy says peer pressure. Yeah, I mean, let's see how far we can get. I'm already getting... I mean, Shiva's been exhausting me more than anybody. Like, I don't know if anybody has exhausted me to this level. I mean, even Destiny, with his verbal diarrhea stream of fallacies and his, his school of vegetative debate isn't as bad as this.
Yeah.
An actual set of steps
Sure.
that everyone agrees to in a scientific methodology. You're saying, if you go back, you say, we are going to move an object 100 miles in this direction. And after it moves the object 100 miles in this direction, we are saying that its distance from the surface of the Earth needs to be 6,660 feet.
Which it won't be. But they never... No, but here's the problem. They won't be.
I would have also just flat out asked Shiva, do you know what falsification is? Like, I would have asked Shiva, what do you think the Earth is a heliocentric globe? And are you familiar with the concept of falsification? Because if this is the heliocentric globe theory, what happens when you falsify aspects of this theory? What are the implications? I would have just asked Shiva this question. He probably would have said, I don't care. I don't care about all that. I don't care about science. I don't care about reality. Let's talk about me not understanding the order of the scientific method instead. And blank sheets.
And they claim that gravity is pulling you around the curved air of the Earth. Okay? That's not the case at all. An example would be this, right? The faster you go, the faster things curve. So here's the new SR-72 Blackbird, right? This thing goes 4,000 miles per hour. 4,000 miles per hour, right? So if it flies out and it's 6,000 miles out to here, right? 4,000 miles per hour, the drop would be 4,000 miles, right? So that means it's dropping at 1 mile per second. The SR at the speed that it flies over the course of an hour, it has to drop at 1 mile per second, which is faster than free fall. What would happen to anyone on this plane if it's curving faster than free fall?
That's not true. You have to do the inertial, or you have to calculate the inertial system on that plane. That's not true, because that's
1 hour, it drops 4,000 miles.
Own relative. No, that's in its own relative.
Now we're getting to the usual copes. It's all relative. Relativity. So he's never seen Run Z Cow's debunk of relativity. So, but ironically, this is the relative. Dave is talking about the SR-71 relative to the Earth's surface. So, and notice these coping goofs, when they get triggered and start coping, they never actually explain what relative, what exactly is relative in this example, and how would it differ. See, this is why dependent variables, independent variables, and controls are important, because by invoking the magic of relativity, you don't have to explain anything. You don't show the dependent, independent variable, and control, because without the control, how do you know that it's relativity itself that's causing whatever discrepancy he's hallucinating is making up for this difference in the first step of the scientific method, or the falsification of a particular theory? Like, does he even know what the word falsification means? Because he hasn't shown anything here that he does. But I did notice that. And was it Einstein himself who said if you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it well enough? So crying it's all relative when goofery is exposed is an example of what not to do by Mr. Relativity himself. Because if you can't simply explain how relativity and it's all relative explains this kind of discrepancy or falsification, then you shouldn't be invoking the magic word relativity, should you? Flat Bob says, Shiva's argument so far is, I don't care about that. We need an experiment. We need a blank sheet of paper and gravity. Well, whatever happened to first principles? Where's relativity coming to the equations in first principles? I mean, I've never said this before, but I would have wanted to do this conversation with Shiva, because I would have asked him what happened to first principles. If you're talking about gravity, the mantle curvature, you're talking about it's relative. That's not first principle. Where's relativity come from on a blank sheet of paper? Where is there room for relativity on a blank sheet? A blank sheet doesn't have anything on it. That's what makes it blank. I mean, this is one of the few encounters where I actually would have liked to have this conversation with Shiva, because I also want to know what does he believe, if anything. Because I'm not claiming anything's true or untrue, but what does Shiva actually believe the heliocentric globe model as advertised in government textbooks?
No, that's in its own relativistic frame. Okay,
Right. Sure.
so you can't go there because you're gonna screw yourself.
And there's the projection. You can't go there because you're going to screw yourself, while laughing at himself. That was the first time he flat out laughed. He smiled when he saw the 666. This is his first flat out laugh. I think not only his subconscious, I think his conscious mind actually recognized what just happened and how he coped. And by invoking magical relativity, that's how you screw yourself, which he just did. So the projection is on point. The facade has been cracked. Look at his face here. He's no longer angry and cowardly. The projection cope has exposed his own goofery. He just realized he screwed himself by invoking relativity.
I'm just saying you need to make this experiment, if you want to do this, so simple
Right.
that anyone can do it, any school kid can do it, and they all should get the same data. So that would be my recommendation.
Well, how is a school kid going to do this? So what are you going to?
I don't have a skin in the game. I don't have any skin in the game here.
Well, but here's the thing. The thing is, there's so much evidence that the Earth is not curved. There's so much evidence that you can't have high pressure next to no pressure without a container, right? When pilots are coming into an airport, they say, okay, we're about 125 miles out. They figure out how much they have to drop per minute to get to the airport, right?
Yeah, Dave, I've heard all this. What I'm saying is,
you've heard this
stuff. No, what I'm saying is I've heard all of this stuff. My point is that still missing among this community is a proposed experiment that everyone agrees to.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't understand what falsification means. Because if somebody's advocating that the invisible flying spaghetti monster needs to be paid taxes, and a community comes out and says, wait a second, they say the invisible flying spaghetti monster is here, but we had some hot air balloons, this helicopter went up, and it didn't, and they were shooting something, and it didn't hit the invisible flying spaghetti monster. Like, there was no actual evidence of it. And Shiva's going to say, well, hold on. What's missing in this community is an experiment that shows that the invisible flying spaghetti monster isn't real. Like, it's like he doesn't understand the concept of falsification. I mean, it's like, is this, I mean, I'm hesitant to call it mental disability, but, I mean, this is supposedly a really brilliant man. Does he not, I don't know why Dave didn't ask, do you not understand what falsification is? You don't need to come up with an experiment to falsify something. I mean, similarly, if we turn this into true crime, so the prosecution said that Mr. X, killed this individual. Now, Mr. X is actually on video on a different continent, and the whatever blood sample they took didn't match. So Shiva would argue, well, they need to come up with an experiment to show that all of this is valid, because they've just falsified the prosecution's case. But Shiva doesn't understand falsification. So there's just a problem with the entire defense community. Like, they need to come up with an experiment. Who cares about falsification? He just doesn't understand falsification. And he's just, I mean, that's really what this is. I mean, I would have just asked Shiva, do you understand what falsification is? What do you believe is the true model of the Earth? Do you have any evidence for it? Because he keeps shifting the burden of proof on Dave. He keeps fallaciously just spamming these copes and shifting the burden of proof.
I have write it up like a scientific paper. No, go back to the one you just said. That's
which one?
The one you just said. You fly for 100 miles, and then after that, you check the distance. It should be 6,660 feet.
But what happens when it's not?
Well, if the experiment works, that means you're wrong.
So no. If you fly 100 miles and you're not 6,600 feet, does that mean the Earth is flat?
If you're proposing that you make a hypothesis, let's follow the science. That's why I started this conversation.
Yeah.
Let's follow a rubric that we all agree to, whether you're on this side or that side. This is how science gets done.
Right.
Okay. So if you followed that, so you would write hypothesis. It's like third grade.
Sure.
2. This is the methodology I'm.
It's actually well before third grade. And hypothesis is not number 1. You have to observe first, something Shiva's too cowardly to do. And he keeps interrupting whenever Dave tries to do step 1. Hypothesis is not step 1. No matter how many times Shiva pretends it is. And it's kind of funny when he adds these comments. Oh, it's third grade. Like, this is actually preschool here. or, you know, preschool, kindergarten, first grade, second grade, and he still doesn't know it. I mean, can Shiva ever recover from this performance here? Who thinks he's actually going to watch this? I mean, this is just so embarrassing. I mean, this is crazy.
Proposing. And the methodology, as Mr. Gerald Walker, my 9th grade teacher, said, has to be written very explicitly. Great teacher.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Step 1, step 2, step 3. This is where we go. This is what you do. This is the machinery we use. You have to. This is the beaker we use. Everything. You have to write it down very explicitly, so everyone can reproduce it. And you have to write it down very. Okay, if we're going to fly a drone, it has to be this drone.
Can I run it by you? Can I run by your methodology here? Here's my hypothesis. We start a plane out here, and we're on the salt flats or wherever. You know, we have 100 miles of.
No, but what I'm saying, Dave, is
my hypothesis is that I fly 100 miles, and if the Earth is a globe, I should be 6,600 feet in the air. If I fly straight and level, okay.
Yeah.
But when I'm not, that matches the flat Earth model. So now what do we do?
Well, now you have an experimental piece supporting your hypothesis.
Wow, I might have to take back every positive thing I said about Shiva. He doesn't understand that the burden of proof is on positive claims. He doesn't understand falsification. A hypothesis isn't that there's a negative to prove. The claim was made by the establishment, similarly to GMOs are safe. There's a claim made here. The burden of proof, now obviously you can prove a negative. It's not that you can't, but that's not where the burden of proof is. He doesn't understand the concept of falsification. You know what would have been hilarious? If Dave had like a team and they actually, if his 9th grade teacher was still alive, if they just got him on the phone then and there, they patched him through. And so he could send Shiva straight on what step 1 is. How hilarious would that be? Who would have wanted to see Shiva's face when his 9th grade teacher came in and said, Shiva, why did you completely and utterly disgrace me and the very bedrock of all science in not understanding that step 1 is observation, not hypothesis? I mean, I would have just genuinely liked to see his face if they somehow got his 9th grade teacher on webcam to come in. I would have really wanted to see Shiva's, like, how would his ego handle that? I mean, what is everybody's guess? Would he just exit the chat immediately? Would he run away crying? Would he sputter and stutter? I mean, how can you recover from that? Like, would he genuinely remain on this call? Like, what is what are the options to recover from that? He just spent an hour humiliating himself, not understanding step 1. Like, how does he recover from it? Does he even try to recover? Or does he just run away? Let's do a poll. What does everybody think? Alright, so poll is up here. Let's see what everybody thinks. How would Shiva have responded to his teacher correcting him on the scientific method? So, of course, 2 triggered answers an option. So, apologize and I guess somehow continue the conversation. I don't know how he would do that. Run away or get angry and melt down. So far, it's an even split. Okay, Runaway is in the lead now. Like, how do you respond to that on something so big? Especially if his teacher came on with like a preschool textbook or a worksheet or whatever, or even his 3rd grade, 9th grade textbook. If the teacher showed up with a textbook open to the scientific method showing step 1 observation, like what recovery is possible after he spent this whole time talking about how he's this MIT engineer, etc., etc. Yeah, Runaway is in the lead, or Get Angry and Melt Down is 2nd place. I mean, I really don't see him humbly apologizing. I mean, I just don't see it. I also don't really see him melting down. I mean, I don't know, but I mean, it seems like I just don't understand how he could recover from that. Is recovery possible? Now it's an even split between Runaway and Get Angry and Melt Down. I mean, maybe a melt. For some reason, I think running away is really the only option. Because I mean, how do you recover from that? Heracles says he would say, "I don't have time for that." It would be funny if he says, "I don't care about that," even though that's what he's discussing. Let's go back to the scientific method, and then his teacher would be yelling at him, "This is the scientific method, you idiot!" Oh man, can you imagine how viral that would have been if that happened? That would have made this funny. That would have made this less painful. All right, it's an even split between Runaway and Get Angry and Melt Down. Let's continue. Flat Bob says he would tell the teacher to get a blank sheet of paper. I'm telling. Oh man, this is so painful.
Sure.
Now,
every single flight every day does that.
I don't want to hear that. I want what I'm saying is, if you
now the narcissism is showing. I don't want my scientism delusions shattered. I don't want to be made to look like an utter fool like I've been making to look this entire time. And then he starts stuttering. And his narcissism is showing too. I don't care about that. I don't want to hear that. I. He made something that's supposed to be about objective science all about himself and his own cope.
You want me to help facilitate this, I will.
That'd be awesome.
I'm saying that, why don't we get, and I'll sponsor it right here in Cambridge. I have a big office here.
Okay.
Big room. We can hold a conference. Okay. Let's bring 20 people physicists from MIT, Harvard, right here. I'll call a bunch of people up. You bring 20 people.
Okay.
I'll help chair this meeting.
I mean, it's almost astounding, the level of narcissism to make it all about him and his facilitation. Look, maybe items really don't splash when they're thrown into water. Well, let's get some MIT physicists to come up with an experiment that can demonstrate whether or not objects splash when thrown into water. Because clearly, I mean, it doesn't matter that it's been done billions of times. I mean, that doesn't matter. We need to do a conference about this. We need to get 30 people from both sides, and we need to agree to steps to throw an object in water to see if it splashes. I mean, the level of gophery here. I would have just asked him, have you heard of the Michelson-Morley experiment? What do you think about it? Have you heard of the Bedford level water experiment? What do you think about it? Have you heard of Airy's failure? Like, what do you think about all these experiments that have already been done? Like, the level of narcissism here is really getting off the charts. Now, all of a sudden, he has to facilitate all of this? He's too cowardly to honestly have a discussion about anything, and he wants to set up conferences? He doesn't even have the capacity to spend 5 minutes honestly discussing concepts with Dave And he's all of a sudden he's setting up conferences?
And we'll use all the whiteboards I have right here in our big room.
Awesome.
Here.
Let's do it. Let's do it. That'd be awesome.
Oh, well, if they get to use the whiteboards, that changes everything. I didn't know he was going to offer the whiteboards. So, okay, now that whiteboards have entered the chat, this changes everything. I take back everything I said. He's going to allow them to use whiteboards. Okay, that changes everything. All of a sudden, Shiva appears competent now because he said they could use the whiteboards. I mean, this is a game changer. This is an absolute game changer. I mean, who could have thunk it? I mean, whiteboards? Wow. Wow.
And we will propose this experiment, and everyone go around the room and agree to the exact experimental dynamics, exact equipment, everything, how we'll measure everything. Okay? So we have to agree to that experiment. All right.
That's one experiment.
Let's just start there.
Okay.
Let's just do one fucking experiment, right? Okay. That everyone agrees to. And then we go do that experiment, and you'll have,
But the world was a different place when I was a girl.
Yes, they thought it was flat.
But the world was a different place when I was a girl.
Yes, they thought it was flat.
That's the closest I could find to the nanny flat earth joke. Lord Zed, that one was for you, Lord Zed. Although, look at the nanny's expression here. Is she betraying something here? Because she's not laughing at this joke. Look at her face. It's almost kind of like a wink, wink, nod, nod, because she's not laughing. Because usually she's laughing whenever a joke is made at the expense of that blonde lady. She looks pretty serious at that joke, doesn't she? I mean, look at that face, though. Look at that face. That doesn't that face betray something? It's that's great because she's always laughing whenever that blonde lady's being made fun of. She laughs, but look at this face and expression at that particular joke.
proposing you do 20 iterations of that experiment. On each team, you have a flat earther and an MIT physicist, okay?
Okay.
or non-flat earther. And so therefore everyone's checking each other, and everyone's supposed to follow that protocol that we all agreed to in my room here in Cambridge to the letter. And if someone doesn't, that data gets thrown out, because that means someone's trying to violate the agreed upon manifesto of how to do this research.
Here's the
So
problem. Here's the
Oh,
problem.
this is not, wait, there's no problem.
Okay.
So if everyone agrees, you agree, and, Jim Williams, who's the head of the physics department of MIT, agrees. You guys both agree to our mechanics department. Okay.
I mean, I'm pretty much done here. I mean, I've had this is about as much as Shiva I could take. Oh man, we're gonna have to be coming back for another part here. But Shiva Ayyadurai here is spamming appeal to popularity. Who cares who agrees to what? Either the experiment has dependent independent variables and controls, or it doesn't. It doesn't matter how many people agree to that. That's the whole point of science. It's an objective methodology. Agreeing has nothing to do with anything. Oh, man. Oh, man. Lord Zed, how did you find that? I got skills, man. I got skills. I can bring up receipts pretty darn fast. Yeah, I mean, I've about stomached all I can from Shiva Ayyadurai in this sitting. Aaron says Shiva's trying to spread the inevitable embarrassment around to other researchers. But also, look how he name dropped that guy. As if to feed his own ego and narcissism. Oh, he's buddy with this guy, head of physics, MIT, blah, blah, blah. He doesn't even know that gravity is, I mean, Walter Lewis. Does he know Walter Lewis? You would think he would. I mean, that's another MIT physics professor, so you would think he would, but he's just this utterly clueless about electric forces. I mean, wow. Okay. Yeah, I mean, again, my apologies. I am a mere mortal. There is only so much goofery I can take in single sittings, although it is stunning. If somebody had asked me who I could stomach longer, like goofs like Destiny, Craig, McToon, I would have never thought I could stomach their goofery longer than Shiva's. I mean, it's just crazy. It's just crazy. Oh, man. All right. Well, that's a wrap for part 4 here. We're going to have to finish this. I'm not even sure we're going to be able to finish this in one more sitting. Who called the 10-part who called that this would be 10 parts? I forgot who it was in the chat. Somebody called that this would be 10 parts. So, yeah, we'll be back for more. I mean, I'm really trying to finish this up. I don't want to really do other podcasts until we get done with this, because now it's like, it's an exercise of glutton for punishment. But I just want to get through this. I just want to get this done. But obviously we have to be comprehensive in typical MindShock fashion. Flat Bob says he was the one that called the 10-part. Man. Aaron says, I had a cousin who was at MIT in the same general field as Shiva. Too bad he died a few years ago, so I can't nail him about Shiva. Now, here's the thing. I still think Shiva was probably really brilliant until his encounter with the nanny. I mean, I don't know. Lord Zed says, we need to find out more about the so-called nanny. I wonder if that entire TV series was MK Ultra and Illuminati propaganda. We have to do a deep dive into that show. I actually really did not like that show when it was on. My jam was more Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, which was also very, very devious. Very, very devious Illuminati propaganda, which we need to do a deep dive into that show. I liked watching that show at the time. But, the nanny was definitely not one that I watched. I saw it on in the background a couple times. I've maybe seen, I don't think I've seen more than 5 full episodes. Probably not even 5. I think I might have seen the pilot and 1 or 2 random episodes in full duration, maybe. And then mostly just on in the background in various places throughout the 90s. So yeah, I mean, Home Improvement and The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air were pretty much the only sitcoms that I did, I think. I don't think I really watched any other sitcom. I'm trying to think. I really didn't like Full House. Just seemed dumb. I know a lot of people are going to get mad about that one. So, Urkel, Family Matters, little bit. Yeah, that was kind of like a show I didn't mind. Wasn't too crazy about it. Hated Seinfeld at the time that it was on. Watched a lot of it maybe 5-10 years ago and thought it was pretty funny. But then I watched Owen Benjamin break it down, and it's a lot of Illuminati filth as well. Oh, Boy Meets World. Yeah, I saw a little bit of that. Yeah, that wasn't terrible, but I also think that was some kind of Illuminati propaganda as well. We need to do deep dives on all of these sitcoms. Sitcoms as a whole, I think, are pretty propaganda. Even Home Improvement, I know some people are going to find that blasphemous. Even Home Improvement actually pushed a lot of that Illuminati feminism filth. So anyway, hope everybody enjoyed another edition of the MindShock podcast. You want to help support the podcast, up logic and reason, return to a world that is quickly going extinct? You can donate to our PayPal. Just check the link in the description. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, like and share, Twitter, Facebook, Reddit, Patreon. This is Bruce McGuire signing off. Catch you guys next time.